Hello, second grade. Happy Friday. It's time for math, and I just want to talk to you about what we're doing real quick. So we will generate and solve a multi-step addition and subtraction word problem based on a given equation. We're going to do this by reviewing our important vocab. If you haven't done that, you need to go back into the last slide and look at the vocabulary, okay? So pause if you need to, go back and check out the vocabulary if you haven't yet. I'm hoping that everyone here has seen the vocabulary so we can move on, and we're going to watch the teacher-led video over multi-step addition and subtraction using 3 two-digit numbers, and then you guys are going to generate and solve your own problem with a given equation. And then you're going to upload your work to Google Classroom once you're done. And then don't forget, you guys have extra math. You have extra math every single day that we don't have a test, basically, that we have school and that we don't have a test. And me, Miss Swinton, Mrs. Storga, we look at it to make sure, because it is for a grade. That's going to help you get better at solving these problems more accurately and more quickly. That's why we want you to do it. But please make sure you're doing it, because it is really important, and we see if you're not. And it is for a grade. So I'm going to get off that topic. We're going to move on to our math problem, though, and we do this all because it's important to be able to relate our representation models to how we actually solve the problem. So my goal for today is to show you guys how silly a word problem can be. And you are going to get to write your own silly word problem. And I hope it's so silly that you can make me and Miss Winston and Mrs. Storga laugh. Okay, that's your goal, is to make us laugh by writing a silly problem. And then by solving it correctly too. So I'm going to show you a really silly problem. I'm going to be so silly that I'm going to use made up words. Okay, you don't have to use made up words. You could just write about like monkeys and bananas or Fortnite or Minecraft or Among Us if you want. Like whatever you want to write about, you can write about, but I'm going to write something so silly it's just going to be made up words. So I'm going to go to the silly word generator, and I'm going to generate words until I see one that I like. So these are some really, really silly ones. And what about Frampfet? Yeah. No, not feeling it. A twoom. What do y'all think about twoom? Nah, move on. Okay. Oh, flumpet. Flumpet. That's the one. That's the word for me. So I am going to write a problem about flumpets. And I want you guys to stop and think. What do you think a flumpet is? A flumpet could be anything you want it to be, okay? So it's just a made-up word. I think it could be like a little flute that you play, right? That makes really low sounds, though, maybe. Or maybe a flumpet. Yeah, you know what? I like that. I think I'm going to write flumpets, and to me, that's what it means. It might mean something different to you, but I'm just trying to point out how silly and crazy your problems can be. So looking at my paper, I'm going to write about flumpets, but I don't have a problem yet, right? That's what I'm going to write about. That's where I'm going to use my flumpet story. I don't have my strip diagram. What do y'all see here that I do have? The only thing I have is my equation. So I have 38 plus 57 minus 26 equals question mark. So we see that there are two operations here. We are adding, and what else are we doing? We are adding, and then we are subtracting. So I'm going to write a story about flumpets where I start with 38. I have to come up with an idea to add 57, and then I have to come up with an idea to subtract 26. So I'm going to write about flumpets, and I'm actually going to add in some characters too. So going to this little wheel thing, it has all of my students' names on it. So it's just my students for today, but because that's all the names that I can fit on here. But let's look. Who could it be? So Savannah is the main character in my story. So Savannah, what does she have? She has flumpets. And I'm actually going to, how many flumpets does she have? She starts with 38, right? So these are like little flute things, right? So I'm going to pause and write that so you don't have to watch me write. All right, so Savannah has 38 flumpets. That's what we start with here. That's why I wrote that in. Now, we have to figure out a way where we can add 57 more in our story. So I'm going to come up with another character. I want a drum roll while we figure out who's going to be my story. Drum roll. Evan. Evan's also going to appear in my story. So Evan, maybe he gives her some more flumpets. Maybe he makes some for her. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that he can just give her some more flumpets, right? And maybe I'm going to give the ones from Evan, maybe they have a color to them. What color could the flumpets from Evan be? What do y'all think? Ooh, I love y'all's ideas. I'm going to pause and write that. And I want to ask, how many flumpets does Evan give Savannah? I think you already saw it. That's okay. How many flumpets does Evan give Savannah? He gives her 57, which is why I wrote 57 there. So we have 38, and we just added 57 when Evan gave her more. Are we done writing this problem, though? Say, no, Miss Sigler. Now we have to come up with a way that 26 of them get subtracted out. We want to get rid of 26 of them. So what do y'all think? What could happen to these flumpets? Maybe they melt because it's so hot outside. Maybe they break. Maybe they just lose some of them. Maybe they give them to someone else. Maybe they give them away to charity. What do you guys think? Shout out what you think happens to Savannah's flumpets. All right, very cool ideas. Let's see what ends up on the paper. Okay, I'm going to pause and write down my next sentence. All right, guys, so I already wrote it, but I decided that Savannah sells some of the flumpets. How many flumpets does she sell? She sells 26. So she sells 26. And I wanted to give you guys another character just to include more of my students in my class. So Savannah sells 26 flumpets to her friend. Who's her friend? Drum roll, please. To her friend Annabelle. So Savannah sells 26 flumpets to her friend Annabelle. Do you like my story so far? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I hope I'm getting some thumbs up. It's just a silly story. And I wanted to show y'all can write about whatever you want. You can make it up on the fly as long as you are following what happens in your equation. So she sells 26 flumpets to her friend Annabelle. And are we done there? Oh, we are so close. I know some of you are so ready to be done with writing the equation, or the word problem, but we have to do what? What do y'all see here? We have to ask a question. So I need to write a question. And a lot of our questions will start with how many. That's a good sentence stem for when we are writing a question at the end of our problem. So Savannah sells 26 flumpets to her friend Annabelle. We want to know how many what? We want to know how many flumpets Savannah has left. Question mark. So now we've got our question. We've got a whole word problem. We've got our equation. Let's talk about solving it now, okay? So I'm going to start with Savannah has 38 flumpets. Do you think is 38 a part or a whole of the flumpets? What do y'all think? 38 is a part because you remember we are getting more from Evan. So this cannot be all of the flumpets in this problem. So Evan gives Savannah 27 more. Is that all of the flumpets in the problem? No. So is it a part or a whole? It is a part. So we've got a part that she starts with, a part that is given by Evan, and then what happens? And then Savannah sells 26. Does she sell all of her flumpets? No. So guess what? That's a part. But I'm going to change colors real quick, and I will tell you why in a second. So I'm going to go to blue. blue, and that is a part because that's not all the Flumpets. She does not sell all of them, does she? And then at the end, how many Flumpets does she have left? Is she going to have all of the Flumpets, that the total number of Flumpets left? No, because remember she gave part to Annabelle. So guess what? That's a part too. We go, because that is so many parts. All right. So I switched my from colors for the first two numbers, part that she starts with and the part that Evan gives her. And then I switched to blue here. Why did I change colors? I want you guys to think about it and talk to someone next to you. I'm gonna wait a second. Okay, so the reason I had to switch colors is because, is this a one-step problem? No. How many steps does this problem have, everyone? This has 2 steps. So I'm trying to color code my steps. So the purple is what I'm going to do for my first step. And in the first step of the problem, so that is going to be where we start doing what with the parts. Are we joining the parts? Are we separating the parts? Are we comparing the parts? What do y'all think? We are joining there. And so we join first here, don't we? So I'm going to do that with purple. And then what do we do next when she sells some of her Flumpets? Is that joining? Is that separating? Or is that comparing? What do y'all think? That is going to be separating. So we separate second. All right, so I actually want you guys to pause, and I want you to try and create the strip diagram that represents the first step of this problem, okay? So pause it real quick, and I'm going to pause too, and when we come back, I'll show you how we can build that strip diagram, okay? All right. All right, so hopefully you made your strip diagram, but let's think about it real quick. So are we going to be oops, sorry, someone walked in and kind of broke my train of thought. Okay, so how many parts do we need in our first strip diagram? What do y'all think? We need 2 parts in our first strip diagram, right? And do we know the whole yet? We do not know the whole yet. So our strip diagram should look something like this, okay? So we don't know the whole. We don't know the total Flumpets. We do know what we start with, right? What Savannah starts with. And we do know how many Evan gives her. And if we put those together, if we add those parts together, then we can find the total number of Flumpets in the whole problem, right? So here's what I'm going to do next, okay? So instead of going to represent our second step, we're going to need to know this question mark before we can move on. So I'm actually going to stop and solve over here. So I'm going to set it up for you guys. We are not doing this all at once. So I'm actually going to rewrite what I'm doing right now, which is only the adding part, right? So I'm only doing 38 plus 57 over here equals question mark. That'll tell us our total. And then I'm going to set it up with my row of hundreds, my row of tens, my row of ones. I want you guys to pause, and I want you to add those together, and you can check your work with me after you're done, okay? All right, so hopefully we paused it and started representing it on our own, and you guys can check your work with me. There should be how many tens at first? There should be 3 tens at first. And how many ones should we have there next to it or underneath it? We should have 3 tens and 8 ones, right? And because we're adding, when we're adding, we do want to draw and represent both of these numbers. And that's going to be important because that's what we are adding. So we have to be able to count all of them, right? So when we add, we do draw both. So what do I need over here on the other side? I need 5 tens and how many ones? And 7 ones. Check my work. Did I do that correctly? What do y'all think? Ooh, I think I heard someone out there caught a mistake. I made a mistake. What mistake did I make there? I drew 38 here, but did I draw 57? Say no, Miss Sigler, you didn't. You made a sloppy mistake. I made a silly mistake. And I drew how many tens there? I drew 6 tens. And I don't want 6 tens because that's not what we have. We have 5 tens. So I need to scratch out 1. If I was using pencil, I could erase it. But we have 57 now, right? Does that look good? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. Awesome. So now we are going to start adding by counting these all together. And we're going to start by counting the hundreds. No, we don't start at the hundreds. Do we start at the tens? No, we don't start at the tens. What do we start at? We start by counting the ones. So we go 1, 2, count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we all say, stop, 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 Miss Sigler, because I need to stop and circle and make a swap, remember? So we're going to swap that. And then now, what do I swap it for? I swap it for a new 10. I'm going to add that 10 over there. And now, do I have enough ones to make another 10? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. Is that enough? That is not enough to trade those out for a 10, so I have to leave them alone. And now I move on to which place value. Now I can count my 10s. I go 10 with me, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Do I have enough to switch for 100? I do not. So guess what? We have just solved that part of the problem. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so there's my little place value house. I have my ones over here, right? Say no, Miss Sigler, those are the hundreds. And these are the tens, and these are the ones, okay? And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to count our ones. How many ones did not get swapped? Just the 5. And how many tens do we have? We have 9 tens. So our total, the total number of frumpets in this problem is 95. Okay, so 95 frumpets. I guess we're done now, right? Say no, Miss Sigler, we're not done. Why are we not done? We're not done because we've only done one step. How many steps do we need to do? We need to do 2. What have we not done yet? We have not subtracted 26 yet. We have not done the separating step of our problem that we created. So Savannah sells 26 frumpets, and we haven't shown that yet. So we have 95 together now because Evan gave her some. But now, here's what you guys are going to do. You're going to take the rest of this information, and I will set up the whole for you. We do know the whole now, don't we? We have the whole, which is 95. That's total frumpets. And see, I mixed it up. I put my whole on top this time, which is fine. Frumpets. And then we have 2 parts. I'm going to give you that. We have 2 parts. One of the parts is the part that Savannah does what with? She sells. And I actually meant to change colors here. This should all be blue. So I'm going to write it blue, 95, 95. And then we have, how many does she sell? She sells 26. And do we know what part is left? We do not. We do not know the part that is left. So now we have represented both steps. I am going to pause, and I'm actually going to end the video here. I want you guys to represent the subtraction part, 95 minus 26. Remember, when we are subtracting, do you need to draw that 26? No, because that is actually being taken and subtracted from the 95. So we are going to be, that's what's going to get crossed out of the 95 total, right? So we do not have to draw that, because if we draw it, we might get confused and start adding things instead. So I set that up for you. That's the second step. You guys are going to solve it on your own, and then you'll upload a picture of what we did together, and then you guys are going to solve it. You know what? I'll just meet you in the next video, so we'll go over that. But you can check your work on one of the slides. I will post my completed page. Okay, that's it. I will see y'all in the next video.